And welcome to Mayor's Update.
Good evening. It is Tuesday, and we are here in the place where we should be. And we have a really special guest because Andrew Lawton has joined us tonight. And we had hinted we were trying to get him in the next couple of weeks, and we were just able to put it all together. So, Andrew, welcome.
Thank you.
We got a pile of stuff to cover with you tonight, too. But for you folks at home, please start asking your city questions or even your Andrew questions. Go ahead and get them in early, and we'll try and cover as much as we can.
But we've got a lot of stuff to cover. Do you want to go into the events first, and then
because we can quickly get through the events. Today we had the fetal alcohol spectrum disorder proclamation out in front. Andrew was kind enough to be there too, and Ethel de la Penetier is somebody who you don't disappoint. When she says come, you do it. And this is a number of years that she's been here representing the awareness for fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Yesterday was Crime Stoppers. I know Andrew was here. I was not. So it's a proclamation a day, it seems, out in front of City Hall right now. Next week we even have a day with two in it. So
and I have the county ones too, which you
you have to go get the rest, and I just have to walk downstairs.
Elgin County Plowing Match. You were just there.
Yeah, that was on Saturday out in Talbotville, and I very pleased to say that I won the dignitary plowing match. Although I think that might
ever did.
I think they might have just said, it was your first one, Andrew. So we'll give you the plaque. But still, I didn't stall the plow, and my furrow was pretty straight. So I'm saying I earned it.
Right. So we could plant corn.
There you go. Right. You're a little late, but
but we also have Dancing with the Stars.
Rick and Fran.
Yes,
did an excellent job. I got to see it. I haven't really spoken to them since. Way to go. I understand Rick and Fran were also part of your small business roundtable that took place yesterday.
They came in. They basked in the glow of victory.
Did they?
All through the roundtable. Everyone was giving them the rightful applause.
I get it.
Did they do
Is it going to be hard to live?
Yeah, no, we didn't. We were in the queso station, but we didn't. And we had room. I should have made them do a demo.
Well, we got to see it last Thursday night out here. So I did get to see, and then I saw the video of it too. So way to go, Fran and Rick. To two former competitors, you did really well. Right?
We're basically experts now, so we can say that with
I should
an informed
putting
opinion.
it that way. Grayden and Jess and myself and Stephanie, Grayden and I did not perform together, just so you know. I was way better than him. But
well, I mean, that's not difficult.
No,
let's be very clear.
If you keep it up, Joe, we can make you do the demo right here on camera.
That's it. Okay, that's what you said. Yeah.
And they're going to have a 10-year anniversary next year, an all-star event, I hear.
Oh, right.
Now, I haven't got my invite for that yet, but I'm sure you will.
Well, no, I'm hoping I'll get to judge, because that's way more fun to be doing the judging part.
Absolutely. Oh,
this weekend?
Yes, so many things coming up this
with the Tartans.
Yep.
Kirkham of the Tartans, a beautiful Scottish type parade where in the old days in Scotland, your tartans were you weren't allowed to display them at all because of the British rule, and so you would sneak a small patch of your tartan into the church, and they would bless each of the clan's tartans. And that's truly what this has come from. Here in Elgin County, we of course have a great deal of the Scots and a great number of the clans, and it's always a great ceremony to see, right? So I will. I know last year both Andrew Sloan and I went, and the last 2 years I wore my chain of office. He wore his chain of office, but we keep skipping each other. So Andrew, if you're watching tonight, I'm bringing my chain of office. We'll both wear them this week or this year.
Yeah, and same day we also have the Terry Fox run out at One Password Park.
Yes, at One Password. About an 8 o'clock start for it, or an 8:30 start for it. Well, if somebody is on that can tell us, please do, because we've been really promoting it on Mayor's Update. Kirkham of the Tartan is right after it, so we're going to have some trouble trying to do both.
You got to go really fast through your run, and maybe just run all the way over there and see if you can kind of like track your mileage.
Last year I wore my suit because I have to wear it to the church. So you go to the Terry Fox run in your suit, and you're not really looking like you belong at all. So
no, I'm learning the multiple outfits I need in my car.
Do casual, throw a jacket on, and you can kind of get away with it.
Add a steamer in there, a lid roller.
I found my hard hat today because I needed it for another event.
Well, that's with all the construction going on. Now I'm doing some of the coverage of that, so I actually had 2 hard hats because sometimes we'll have guests,
right?
And so I was like, okay, I got the two.
You can't be doing it on a construction site where you're not looking like you're meeting safety protocol.
Right. And sometimes it's kind of impromptu. And then,
Right.
but the folks over at the ranch, they found out, they're like, we really need all the helmets back here, Grayden. So if you're going to,
you've taken them all.
I picture you opening your trunk and they just pile out.
Right. They're like, okay, we were wondering where all of our helmets were. I was like, guys, I have two. So I gave the one back and now I just have the one for me. But
Also this Saturday, of course, is market.
yes.
The Horton Market is on every Saturday, and get on out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm home, so I get to do all of these weekend things this week. Stephanie, of course, has still left me, and she's up at the cottage still. And I went last weekend, so I can't go back this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be going to the market for the first time in 4 weeks. Right?
Oh, it's phenomenal.
I'm
Jess
out of
was able
stuff.
to get there
There's
last
certain
week.
things I have to get. Right?
Yeah. And if you're watching, get your questions in. We're going to go through the events. As you get your questions in, we're going to go back and review them, go over our topics, and then you can have all your questions in for Joe and Andrew.
Right.
Okay.
What else? I wanted to say another thing that happened last week, because I went on a accessibility scooter ride with Don Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Don's a great guy, and he does have mobility issues. And so about 3 times in my 7 years of being mayor, he and I have gone out and toured the city in scooters. He lives in Shaw Valley, and we went all the way to Wendy's. I bought him lunch, and then we went all the way back. So it isn't a small ride. It's just to see where are there city sidewalk issues, where are there accessibility issues at what corners, what buttons are easy enough to push to change lights and stuff. And then I reported all to Kevin, our engineer, as to what we saw. So I wanted to thank Don. He did a great job of arranging the scooter and then being my guide and letting me get into a little bit of trouble, but get out of it every time. He's been a great host. Everybody should do it once.
Have you guys ever done a race? See who can, navigate all the obstacles.
Do it for Dancing with the Stars,
right?
Yeah.
His scooter seems to be a little more souped up than whatever he gets from me. But we have an accessibility open house coming up on the 26th or 27th.
At the Joe?
At the Joe Thornton Center. And the rumor is there'll be some wheelchair basketball between me and the warden.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So are you going to get another trophy to put on your wall over there?
Like the putting one.
Like the putting one? Yeah.
Just
start increasing your collection.
Saying, these all belong to the county, but we're hanging on to them until they win them back. No, perfect.
Oh, speaking of which, Oktoberfest is coming up, and there's a competition between the police and the fire service.
Yes.
It's a road hockey tournament, 3-on-3, and they're going to rematch. They did a cornhole
last year was a cornhole tournament, and so no body contact in cornholing, almost. I'm afraid this year that 3-on-3 fire and police are going to need separation.
It's going to make for a great event.
Yeah,
so
I think so too.
Starts at 2
going
p.m.
out to watch it.
Yeah,
right.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So make sure you're out there on October 20th for Oktoberfest in St. Thomas. In view of the artists, is a phenomenal show from local artists that's at the St. Thomas Public Arts Center. So it's running right now if you want to go in and see some great local art. Road races, they're on the 28th of September.
We'll tell you more about that too as we get closer.
You can walk, you can run.
Studio tour, and I know your studio is one of them.
That's right. There's Elgin County Studio Tour coming up, and my studio is going to be on that list. And if you don't know, I'm moving, so this is your last chance to come to this studio. So 27th, 28th September, go to their website. You can see all the details. They're a phenomenal group of artists there. Okay.
Well, I just want to ask Andrew a few questions. I see we're getting a few in. So, Andrew, I wanted to say thank you. The work that you helped us do with CN on a level crossing when we were having some trouble, and you also, as the federal member, got involved, and we got it done. Yeah. And it just shows that we'll use all of that we can to solve problems here. You and I both know there's still a couple of other CN issues that you and I are working on, and they've been 20 years not cooperative. And so I thank you. We'll keep going with them. They seem to be at least talking to us now. So let's continue to work on that. How did I know that the meeting was in your office and CN came, but I think I kind of pre-briefed you. These guys don't really listen.
So, I mean, for me, I've obviously heard how CN is viewed and how a lot of the historic dealings that people in the community and the city have had with CN have unfolded. So I come into this knowing that, but still I have to try and use the tools at my disposal to move some of these along. And on First Ave, I mean, we started hearing issues. It's not a new issue, but we started to really hear a flare up around the end of spring and concerns about that. And then it was interesting because we had been working with CN on that, and we had gotten something from CN that was kind of encouraging. The same day they had sent that resident of St. Thomas the opposite information that this isn't our problem.
We're not involved in that.
And so that, but that...
Now, they did apologize for that profusely in our
meeting. They did. And so you know, the thing that was very clear from talking to the folks at the city is that the First Ave crossing, we got it fixed, great. There are some underlying structural issues there that are going to be an issue in the future that need to be dealt with by CN with the city. So that I wanted to start on now, so it isn't a crisis point in 8-9 months. And then some of the other things, the Barwick Street Bridge, this is a live issue. Reconnection, which is one that's been going on. I've talked to our friend Dan Vernacht about that. That's an ongoing issue.
You've talked to the expert on the other side on that one, for sure.
Yeah, so I wanted to get CN in a room, get myself up to speed on all of these issues, get the city in the room. And I'm glad we did that. I think we got a solid baseline for where to go from here. A few things that CN has promised to send us as far as information goes that we're still waiting on. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have that and be able to
make decisions based on their cooperation.
Yeah.
Andrew, you've been at just about everything. You've been doing a really good job. And I know from being a member of parliament in this riding that being at every cow birthing and chicken hatching there is not easy to do. And you've been more than present. But you also have been dealing on a couple of issues. We just mentioned CN, and that really was an important issue to St. Thomas. And because we worked on it, the Mayor of Strathroy said, I really want to thank you guys, because I got a bigger ear at CN when I called him about and so he got things done because we'd been on our local TV station. You've been working also an awful lot on bail reform. On crime and punishment. I'm trying to think of a better term, but bail reform is probably it.
Well, so bail reform is a specific policy within the law and order, the crime and justice category. So this is one that was really interesting. I've always been interested in, justice and crime issues. I wasn't expecting that I would be put on the House of Commons Justice Committee, which is a very significant committee. Yeah. And so I found out in May or early June that I was going to be doing that. And that was really coinciding with a really important and really significant rise in the public awareness in St. Thomas and across Elgin and South London on crime issues. We have an amazing police force here in St. Thomas that's been really increasingly frustrated, as they've said openly, about these people that they're arresting over and over again. This small number of, I think, about 100 people, the chief said, that are responsible for the overwhelming majority of their offenses. And the one thing we can say is that there are a lot of interconnected issues there that need to be dealt with. Mental health care, addiction treatment, housing, all of that's relevant. But that we can draw a direct line from a federal policy on bail that was put into the law in 2018 and a lot of the issues now, because it's a policy that judges have applied to release people on bail earlier and under less onerous conditions.
Or under no conditions.
Yeah, or under no conditions. I mean, we have,
that's less onerous, I guess.
Yeah, and we have one that I came across recently that I'll be putting out in the next couple of days. It's a repeat offender of no fixed address, arrested for breaking and entering, released on bail to no fixed address with a curfew. The bail condition is you have to be in your residence.
But he's saying to the judge, I don't have a residence, or I'm not telling you where it is. So, I may be couch surfing, or I could be even at our shelter. But
so how are St. Thomas police supposed to even enforce that bail condition?
Because they've been doing a good job of even going out and looking to enforce, checking to see if someone's home, if they're supposed to be home by 10 o'clock, checking to see that somebody isn't associating with somebody who they're not supposed to be associating with. I can't ask more of the police, and in full disclosure, I serve on the police board, so I understand. But we need to not, bad pun, but we've got to quit handcuffing our police force and let them go out and do their real job. And the courts need to help participate. That's why I welcome every bit you're doing on that one. I know as you get back to Ottawa and into the Justice Committee, this will be a topic. So
it is, and I wanted to make sure that I go with solutions and not just grievances. So we hosted, Chief Roskamp hosted a roundtable with our point person in the Conservative caucus on justice issues, Larry Brock, who's a former prosecutor, and the chiefs and deputy chiefs of St. Thomas and Elmer. We were supposed to have the police chief from London there that day, but it was the same day as the Hockey Canada verdict, so his schedule ended up getting crazy. But London London's a part of my riding, so I am meeting with him actually this week. So and they were all clear, as have provinces, municipal leaders, just business advocates, that we need to change bail. So that's what we're hoping to do this fall.
Mm-hmm. If we comment in about the camera being placed on the table.
Yeah,
sorry.
And I speak that way too. And I was noticing Andrew saying, "Hey, it's a little bit more activity in your life, just so you know."
Yeah.
The shaking of the camera.
Yeah,
so we'll put it on a shock mount next time.
It's actually sitting on one of my little wooden chests.
I guess if I keep my arms in one place, it'll be fine. But I
never do, because I start talking with them.
No, this is my fault, because I was so rushed today. This is our fast setup.
Yes.
Not our like separate with camera, tripod, all of that. So I apologize to the viewers on behalf of the shaky camera effects there. But yeah, we've got so many other things to talk about as well. Housing's another one, because it's something that's very crucial to keep affordable within our community. And I know you're working on that. What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these issues where we think in politics in terms of different parties, but ordinary people just see the government and they want a solution. And we do know that housing has been identified as a priority for the government, for the Liberal government, for all parties. They've put forward a strategy that they are hoping will result in more homes being built. I always caution people locally to be very mindful, because we're already really spoiled in St. Thomas on housing in the same way that we have a council and a mayor that are very good at getting things built. So some of the issues you see in other cities where supply is the main concern, there's always an aspect where there can stand to be more housing, but we don't have as big of a crisis on that in St. Thomas as you do in some other cities that are really handcuffed on this. However, there are still some issues in just building, commodity prices, taxes. I think the move to get the GST up in homes, incredibly good, and tariffs. Yeah. Like, the one thing about tariffs because I was at the MPP luncheon that the chamber hosted a few weeks back, and tariffs are identified as a top concern. But when we polled the room, very few people were actually affected by it.
Right.
It's something that causes a greater uncertainty beyond people that have a direct issue with tariffs.
Yeah. If you were looking
investment is very difficult.
At expanding your business this year, you may say, I have to take this into account, and I might not do it because I don't know what it is. So it's the unknown of tariffs that's causing more of our business community to have strife. It isn't what we do know, because most people can work around what is currently known on tariffs. There are some that are not. Certainly a huge canola tariff in the West. Certainly steel and aluminum have certain prices.
For us, auto sector, those are the folks that are really getting hit by the tariffs. Right. And in our business community, if the reciprocal tariffs are there, then our business community is very affected, because if they're buying stuff in from the States and they're selling that to a client here, and they don't know whether or not the Canadian government's going to put a reciprocal tariff on it, they don't know what to charge their customers here. Right. But those, as far as I'm aware, have been pulled back. So that business concern has been allayed. But the auto sector, that's the biggest one to be able to negotiate on that front. And also products that are double tariffed. I mean, we have there's so much integration across the Canada-US border, especially in auto, but even other manufacturing, where you'll get, copper is a great example. So you'll get copper that's mined in Canada, sent to the US for processing because we don't have refineries, then imported back in Canada to assemble. And some of the
tariff on the exit or on the entrance?
Yeah, or both, or things are being double, triple tariff. So these are some of the issues, and we, not to get too in the weeds, but one of the more complicated files that my office has had to take on, and I've had to take on, have been with companies, large and small, that are trying to get what's called remission, which is basically permission from the government to not pay a tariff because they have no other alternative but to get whatever product it is from the US. And these have been very, very complicated, because our government has also been forced to really make it up as they're going along, because they're responding in real time to changes in the US. So this has been
the next day a change happens at the presidential level in the United States, and so try to predict that. We've shed that on here.
Well, and during the campaign, going back to March, I would leave the home in the morning to go door knocking, and by the afternoon, the news has changed 3 times. And I'm I don't even know what the policy can be on this now, because we don't know what we're dealing with.
Right. You're excited to go back to Ottawa. I know you got to spend just a little bit of time there after your election, but this Prime Minister has not had Parliament sit in a long, long time, not in his term. And we really hadn't been sitting in Parliament for almost a year before that. Excited?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because the people that like it's the constituency work that is the most rewarding and the most fun in terms of all the events and the people you get to meet. But I got into this because I want to make some changes on policy, and that you can only do really in the legislative process. So we had 4 weeks in Ottawa back in May, June, and the first week was half of it was just consumed by the throne speech and some of the formalities,
sworn in,
electing a speaker.
Office.
And because Parliament came back so quickly after the election, we didn't have offices until about the third week. And then we didn't have committees. So all of that was really, so there was still a lot to do. And I'm proud of the work I did in that first 4 weeks, but there really wasn't that much. So now we're going back for 4 weeks. There's a really full legislative agenda. I'm going to be, in the House of Commons on Monday. We've got a caucus meeting on Sunday. I'm going to be in the Justice Committee on Tuesday.
So we'll bring your greetings to the Curtain of the Tartan.
Yes, I'm so sad I can't make it there.
I think you're going to like how the committees work in a minority government. Mm-hmm. There's a bit more equitability there. Mm-hmm. I mean, the governing party gets to name chairs for the most part, and except for the ones that are not always chaired by government. But there's a lot more real work that gets done in a minority situation in the committee level. Not a huge fan of minority governments in the parliamentary system itself, but always found there's a lot more give and take at the committee level. So hopefully that's a sign of getting great things done on some very big and important legislation that will need to come forward pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mean the crime and justice stuff is really key. There are going to be some other things on the economy that I think need to be put front and center as well, which I won't have a direct tie-in on my committee. But the great thing about it, and you would know this, Joe, but a lot of people don't, any member can actually participate in any committee. So if there's something going on the agriculture committee that really affects the people in this riding, I can sit in on that even though I'm not a member. I can even speak to it. I just can't vote on it. And so I'm really, really going to be keen. I don't want to overcommit right now because there are only so many hours in a day, but I'm really keen on jumping into other committees when there are things going on that really have a tie-in to things that are going on here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of agriculture, like that's a big part of our riding here. What are you looking to help our agricultural community with as you go back to Parliament?
So one of the big things right now has been a lot of uncertainty around the TFW program because obviously temporary foreign workers have become, I think quite rightfully, under the microscope because there's been a lot of abuse in the system. You have TFWs being used in the service sector, which is not the intention of the program at a time that there's significant youth unemployment. So, teens that can't find a first job. But temporary foreign workers in agriculture have been, in fact, the very origin of the TFW program was seasonal farm workers.
Yep. And certainly in the tobacco industry in this riding and a number of others.
Yeah, and whether it's, corn, beans, fruit farmers, still tobacco farmers, like TFWs are a necessity in farming. So just making sure that like farmers know that that's being protected even with, overall changes to the program. And I think as well, the tariff uncertainty that we talked about has really hit farmers, not just in terms of their trade back and forth of what they produce, but even the importation of farm equipment. We had people that were holding off on making orders because they don't know what that's going to look like. So we've been working on some of those in our office, but I think generally we just need to make sure that, farmers have the supports they need, that they're not being, overburdened by regulation and taxes that, are really, in some cases, just not necessary for the work they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Couple questions. We'll do a couple up here. Brent's asked, what's council doing to ensure St. Thomas is not, or is ensuring Canadians in St. Thomas are getting jobs for Canadians? Well, certainly council doesn't play a great big role in that. That's a federal and provincial government under the TFW and a number of other labor issues. We have a great opportunity now, and Grayden, you and I have talked about it. We've got the Volkswagen PowerCo plant being now built in our riding, in our city, and we need to make sure that those that want to work there get jobs there. Mm-hmm. And we keep asking you now, are you ready to be employed tomorrow? If you are not, what do you need to do? One of it is be employed, because I continue to look at resumes and say, this person hasn't worked in 2 years. Why would they be hired? Right. And so we need to look at that part of it too. But we also need to make sure that there is the guarantees from the federal government, from the provincial government about foreign workers, and we've talked about that a lot. There will be some installers that will be from out of country on some of the specialized equipment at PowerCo, but the jobs at PowerCo that follow afterwards, the 3,000 to 4,000 jobs, I want to be people in St. Thomas. I mean, I'll go as far as getting somebody in London. No. But I mean, we know that we'll do regional with it, but let's make sure that those are the people getting the jobs in our community.
And as we mentioned before, PowerCo has a job board up.
Yeah.
With many jobs up there. So if you're looking for a job right now, go on that job board and take a look at what's available. I believe it's powerco.ca/careers.
The next one was, what's council doing to ensure that St. Thomas is not planned by developers, but by professional public staff? It's planned by both. We always allow the landowner to also be involved in the planning of the lands that they're developing. And that comes to us as a subdivision agreement or a planning development, or in the case of what we're working on in the downtown, a secondary plan. And then our professional staff and the planners go to work on, yes, that fits, no, that doesn't fit. And so it is both. But I'm never going to preclude the people who actually own the land in our community and do a lot of great work for us from helping or assisting or suggesting what that planning should be. Dale Cummings asked, was Steve Withenshaw, who recently passed away this week, a member of our police force? Yes, he was a sergeant in the St. Thomas Police Force, and that's why you saw some of our flags at half-staff this week for the loss of a former police officer, a long-term police officer in our community.
Mm-hmm. All right, and council business. We haven't really touched on the council business at all.
We had
yet.
a public meeting last night even, and part of it has to do with the secondary planning, because it's changing some bylaws on how we can make secondary plans work even better by designating certain areas that would have certain building standards or certain park standards in them. So you'll maybe need to tune into the public meeting that we did last night. It's very complicated, really good bylaw stuff, but someone once said, there's two things you shouldn't watch being made. One is sausage, and the other is rules and regulations. And it's that dry. But I thank our planning people for doing a great job of bringing it forward.
Very good. And Andrew, we've got a question in. What's your favorite thing about being a local MP now?
So I love how I love the variety of people and communities in the riding. You get a little bit of everything. You get the rural agricultural, you get the big city stuff of London, you get St. Thomas, which just has such a unique character given its history and its size. You get, in our office, equal parts. Well, I don't want to say equal parts, but you get a combination of, immigrations cases, small business issues with CRA, and CN rail issues, which is something I've talked to some of my colleagues about. And they're like, I've never had to deal with CN. And I say, you're welcome. We'll do it in your part.
And they don't want to.
So you just have so many, and again, 9 municipalities, which means every weekend there's just this huge roster of events. And, I'm trying to get to as many as possible, but I just love the variety of it. If some of my colleagues, it's like they don't really have a community in their riding, whereas I've got tons of them.
Yes, many. Absolutely.
One other question up here, really based on Highbury Road or Highbury Avenue, and with the PowerCo and the industrial land we're putting in, they're asking that's very busy road. Well, MTO, it's not a St. Thomas road north of Ron McNeil. It's not even in St. Thomas. So yes, we've been pushing, and I've heard Minister Flack also talk about it lately as being also on MTO's plate. What will happen with Highbury? But truly, we're working on twinning the Highway 3, Highway 4, all the way to the 401, right from the door of PowerCo right to the 401, so that trucks don't use city roads or Highbury in that case, leaving it for commuters and others. And so we've got them in the mix. But hey, Grayden, how fast does MTO work?
Not.
Faster or slower than CN? What's the?
I think CN's slower. Yeah. I think CN's slower, to be honest.
Right, but we continue to bring it up each and every time we can. But that road from London to St. Thomas is almost 2/3 London, and London has to want to be involved in the regeneration of Highbury Avenue for that to work too. We're making all the noise we can. Just so you know, I've gotten over my shyness, and I'll be okay.
Good to know.
We're getting to the end of our time. You might have heard the city bell there. Andrew, is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
So the one thing I will say, a lot of people don't know the role of their member of parliament in a community, and I think for good reason, because if the government's doing everything well, you don't need to worry about us. But just to say that we are in the Queso Station, our constituency office, we've been helping people with a range of federal issues. And when people come in with a provincial, sorry, I hit the table again. When people come in with a provincial issue, we send them to the other end with Rob Flack. So, we still won't leave you high and dry, but just encourage people to come on down. And I'm going to be in Ottawa for the next 4 weeks, but I'll be back on weekends. And the office, no matter where I am, is always plugging away. So, and I know I've met some of you in the office and at events already, but I'm really enjoying it and looking forward to what's next.
That's awesome.
And if I can just add really quick, it is imperative that Andrew, myself, the other mayors in the other communities in Elgin County and in London, the member of provincial parliament, continue to be the communicative group that we are. Yeah. It is imperative that I hear provincial issues, even though I'm the mayor of St. Thomas. It's imperative that you hear St. Thomas issues, even though you're the member of parliament for the whole region. It has been a working just perfect for the last bunch of years, and we want to make sure we stay that way. And see our work on CN together, it shows we're just picked right up where we were. And
when you Rob and I keep in touch quite regularly, and I think we'll continue to. And the thing too
it's
is
like a speed meeting. Every time we get
No, well, it was great on Saturday because Rob and I had basically the identical schedule. We were at the same events all day, so we had like a running meeting the whole day. It was like 90 seconds in the parking lot at this event, and then 90 seconds at the next one. But the one thing I will say though is that the Constitution spells out all of these different levels of government and their responsibilities, but increasingly there's so much overlap. I mean, to say that crime is just a federal issue misses a huge part of it. To say
huge municipal issue, and we want to play in that role.
Yeah, to say that housing is just municipal. I mean, there are some things that, yes, I cannot help you with what's happening in your classroom, and Joe can't help with what the criminal code says. But in a lot of the issues, the solutions really travel across.
Come from another level, which is why we all went to AMO a little while ago. We sat around and talked to provincial ministers about issues that are truly provincial, because they're not ours. But we want to share with them what we've noticed, what some of their issues are municipally. And when we go to FCM or you and I have conversations, that's when we talk about federal issues. Yeah. So.
And whoever's not there at the moment, we blame that level of government.
Oh, no.
So right now we can just blame Rob. Everything's a provincial problem.
He's a minister and he's a really good guy, but geez, I wish he'd get something done. Don't tell him I said that. I'm teasing. He has fantastic staff, as do you, Andrew. And I found in my role as the member of parliament, people would come up and thank me in a grocery store. And I'd go, "Oh, you're welcome."
Yeah.
And I'd have to go back to the office and say, "What did we do for Mrs. Scott?"
I've had that happen already.
We got her did. We did this. I said, "Okay, well, we got to find a way where every Friday for us to recap what you've all done, so I can know who's mad at me and who's not."
I wanted to play it humble. Now you're telling me I should just claim credit for it. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
I know my staff works really hard for everybody, and I don't do that myself, right? So that's what happens when it's that way. But Tara and the rest of the staff there are just
they're amazing,
right? So.
Are there any things, just to follow up on, like, if people are coming to your office, are there any things where people come to you and you're like, it's a consistent, this isn't actually a federal issue, this is a provincial issue, or this is a municipal issue, just so any viewers who are watching can tie into that? Yeah,
so one concern that we find is that people feel that going to the federal member is often like speaking to the manager. If they haven't had an issue resolved to their satisfaction municipally, they think that we have some special authority And then I guess I could just text Joe and be like, "Hey, so and so has an issue."
And that it does happen where so and so just talked to me about
and we do talk about that, but we don't have sort of the authority to adjudicate what someone else told you in another agency. So I think that's a big one. And we get a lot of healthcare issues where people asking, "Hey, I'm on this wait list," or for any social service, I'm on this wait list. And there, I mean, we've gotten a pretty good roster of the phone numbers, so we know where to send them. Right. And so we're not just telling everyone to talk to Rob Flack's office. But
and the same thing happens here, and you'll get there. I mean, it doesn't even make it to your phone because the staff here know that that's a works issue or a sidewalk issue, and so they take it. It doesn't get to the phone on my desk, even though I do know the people and love having the great conversations. It just doesn't speed the process by you calling the mayor or calling the MP or running into the MPP. It's sometimes there's really good people out there that are going to do this work for you, and they're way harder workers than what we get done, right? And so it's. I'm not saying I want to shirk the work. I'm just saying if you take it the right route, it's going to be fixed a lot quicker than otherwise waiting for mayor's update to ask the question sometimes.
Right? And it's one of the reasons we do this show is to help direct people in the right way, so that people who are watching can then share with their friends, that their friends are talking to them. They're like, oh, actually, I heard from Joe that, like, this is actually the place to go within the city, or call, the helpline, call the customer service line. You're going to get a far better solution. And it also helps the city, because then they can create a document that says, okay, we've had all these calls about this particular issue. Say it's a pothole, and then they can deal with it. Whereas, like, if you're just calling some random person within the city, or you're calling Joe and he's too busy or something.
But we've told you the right direction. Even sometimes to Andrew's office or to Rob's office is customer service at stthomas.ca. Because when it gets to us, we have all those phone numbers too. And we'll say, I'm not trying to send you elsewhere, but that I've got to send you all the way to the MP's office, and that we'll give them a call so they can give you a call back. And both offices have been great at saying it's okay if we act that way. It really works. So,
well, I think we're at the end of our time here.
I think we pretty much better be, or Rogers are going to be cutting a bunch off this to make it fit in half an hour.
So everybody, thank you for participating. Thanks for your questions. Andrew, thanks for joining us. Joe.
Yeah, great.
Thank you as always.
We're going to try and have you on a couple times a year at least, whenever a topic comes up that we're working on together, or if you've got something big at committee or at Parliament, ask, and we'll be happy to come have you share with the city, with the people in St. Thomas on Mayor's Update.
Look forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. See you.
Yep. We'll
see you next Tuesday.
week.